Hello everybody, welcome back to Thrills and Gills. I know it's been a long time, like a really, really long time, but it is finally time for Crustacean Nation. We are back again with another shelled friend. And today, we've got a beautiful Patriot crab. This is Martin. He is an adult male Patriot crab. They are from West Africa and can reach up to a carapace size of 6 inches. AKA, these are big boys. So, one thing that I should mention is these are not to be mistaken for Quadrincus quadratus, also known as the Halloween or moon crab. They are two different species. They are both land crabs. However, the Patriot crab has a couple differences. Unlike the moon crab, which is a fully terrestrial crab, the moon crab, the Patriot crab, as you can see here, is semi-aquatic and is able to go fully underwater. Which means if you want to give it a good habitat, you're going to want to make sure that there is some space where it can come up onto land and a lot of space where it can sit in the water peacefully. They're easily distinguished by their bright blue shells, bright red claws, and beautiful yellow eyes. Now, the shell can range from being bluish to purplish. Mine is actually a little more violet. And as I said earlier, please do not mistake this guy for the moon crab. This is a different species entirely. The biggest difference is that these guys do need substantial amounts of water. Unlike the moon crab that can live entirely on land, these guys do need partial water, and they need a decent amount, enough to be able to sit in the water. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. One, they enjoy being underwater, a lot more than they enjoy being on land, actually. So they spend a lot of time in the water. And second of all, it's for molting. Unlike the moon crab that buries itself during their molting sessions, these guys will go underwater to molt. Now, it is said that you can supposedly keep multiple of these guys together. I personally do not suggest you keep this thing with really any other animal. This is really a solo species that should be kept on its own most of its life. Now, maybe when they're very small juveniles, you could keep them with other small juveniles, but even still, I really wouldn't attempt that. If you're going to keep one, I'd keep one on its own unless you have a very, very large enclosure. As you can see, these guys are already pretty big to begin with. He's coming up to say hi to our camera right now. Say hi, Martin. Now, as I was saying, these guys can be rather aggressive, and if you take a sharp look at them beautiful meaty claws right there, as you can see, he's giving us a very nice show of his big pincers and his beautiful eyes. He is very much capable of hurting me and you as a pet owner. These guys have a super powerful pinch, so if you're carrying them, just like the moon crab, make sure you have protection. Have gloves, or just don't pick them up. They can cut through nets, and they can cut through wires too. And it's good for them to have something to kind of screw around with so they don't screw through wires. These guys are also very capable climbers. So make sure that you have a tight-fitting lid, one that they cannot perfectly climb out of, or just don't give them very many opportunities to climb out of the tank. Out of the water, yes. If you could see, I'm actually using a old gecko hut. or a basking hut for snakes because it's slanted and it's very useful for getting them up, and they can also dig under it if they want. So, what do these big guys eat? Just like the moon crab, they're actually mostly vegetarian. They can eat meat, they will take meat if given the opportunity, however, they're not particularly the meat sort of crab. They enjoy a good amount of fruit. So ours particularly, we feed Asian pear and mango. Most fruits are on the table. The only fruits that I would not suggest is highly acidic fruits. Though that's also up for grabs, because these crabs are actually pretty solid with their stomachs. Citric acid is probably not super great for them, but they can eat mangoes just fine. They actually eat them in their natural habitats most of the time. So, papaya, mango, pear, Asian pear, apples, all great options. They don't really need leafy greens. They don't really need vegetables. They could eat vegetables, but they're really going to want to eat fruit. That's just what they do. They live on islands in West Africa, so they are getting a lot of tropic fruit in their diet. Now, if you do want to feed them meat, you want to make sure you feed them things like fish. They can eat things like cuttlefish, squid, other crab meat, but really, that just sounds wrong if you ask me. I mean, I know I feed other fish, but like, it still feels like, if you don't have to feed them crab, don't feed them crab, you know what I mean? Speaking of which, other reason you shouldn't put other crabs in. These do have a tendency to be cannibalistic. So unless you have a large amount of space and a lot of luck on your side, I'd suggest just keeping one at a time. These guys can have a solid lifespan of up to 15 years if taken care of properly. Their water does not need any salt. This is not a saltwater crab. This is a freshwater crab. These guys enjoy pure freshwater. The pH can vary. I would suggest a lower pH, but I've heard because they're from Africa, they can use a pretty high pH too. And just like any other crab, they also have really good chemoreceptors. And if they sense a snack, they're very curious, to say the least. You can see sometimes too, if I can get him on camera doing it, he'll blow bubbles when he sees something of interest, which I did not know these guys did. It may also just be when they breach, but I'm going to believe it's when he sees something of interest, because that sounds a lot cuter. I personally love these crabs. I actually like them a little bit more than moon crabs. I think the pupils give them more personality. Do I suggest these as a beginner pet? Yes I do. These are relatively hardy animals that will do pretty well in most environments. Oh, another big thing. Make sure there's good humidity and make sure you have a good amount of heat. They like 70 to around 70 to 79 is probably where you want to be keeping them at. Never go anywhere below 70. And I would say never go anywhere above 81. They like a nice tropical temperature. A regular heater can do in the water as long as they don't go snippy on the cables. But besides that, I think these guys, I give them an A+ as a beginner pet. They're very hardy. They're very fun to have. You can handle them, and I would upload a how to handle them video, but I've already uploaded a video on how to handle mood crabs, and just go watch that video. The video is pretty much exactly what you need to do for these guys. It's the same deal. Just be super careful with the claws, pick them up with gloves, and you might be able to build their trust. These guys are actually supposedly a little more social than moon crabs when it comes to people, but I have not been able to see if that's true yet, but we'll figure that out together. So, let's run through a couple more things. These guys have a pretty small price gap. It's like 25 to 40 bucks max. Sometimes they're 60 if they're really, really, really big. And if you guys are curious, I will tell you how to gender them if he flips around. But if you want to gender your crab, just for the purpose of trying to breed one of these guys, or if you just want to know, hey, is my crab a boy or a girl? It's actually really easy to do, and most people think it's generally impossible to gender your crab. Not true. So, I'm going to see if I can get my camera over here. See if you can get a view of his belly. And if not, I will just kind of explain it. So on their belly, they have a large plate. And for females, it looks like almost kind of like an oven door. And then for males, it's this very sharp point. And if you want to know the specifications on how you identify a male or female crab and what you call them, males are called jimmies and females are called sooks. Yes, that is the true terminology. The more you know. Last couple of things about these guys. They need a tank minimum of at least 10 to 20 gallons. And probably when they get bigger, you would probably want to give them a bigger habitat, maybe upwards of 30 gallons. But I'd say 30 gallons is like the max you need for one specimen. Honestly, you could probably house two in a 30-gallon, but I'd say if you want it to work out well, maybe like 20 gallons per specimen, or at least 10 minimum for each specimen. I also wouldn't keep them in huge colonies. You could possibly get away with doing that, but honestly, I would just try the easy route and just go with one. I think they're big enough and cool enough to be a solo animal. So if you guys want to get your very own West African rainbow crab, Patriot crab, you can probably find them very easily either online or at local reptile shows. Mine personally, I found on a website called Predatory Fins. Very good website. As you can see, he's very healthy. But I'm sure there's plenty of other sites that also sell these crabs. They're not particularly a rare species. Despite what a lot of websites will tell you, they're generally common in the aquarium trade. They're about on the same level of hard to find as, say, your average moon crab, so a little difficult, but not super difficult. So besides that, that's pretty much all you need to know about your good old Patriot crab. I will hopefully get in another video sometime. I might put up a poll for what you guys want. We'll figure that out. I will see you guys next time. I'll see you on the high tide. Bye.